I would tell you from this distance, like a tour player couldn't land it inside 10 feet on average.
Okay.
They just can't do it. It's just not reasonable.
All right. Yeah, and I'd be lying if I said, like, if I didn't hit this inside 20, I'd be like, damn, you know? Because I was
well,
like,
we're already thinking about the results before you hit the shot. So, like,
welcome to the fun house, John.
Yeah, exactly.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. A new edition of our game improvement series. I'm joined by Jon Sherman, the author of The 4 Foundations of Golf. What's the second book?
The Foundations of Winning Golf. So that's my book on what we're going to discuss today, which is more competitive tournament play.
The goal here today is to work on the kind of the intangible stuff.
Yep.
The course management, expectation setting, but in the context of competitive golf. Little context, I'm a 2 handicap, down from 3.7, so things have gone well this year.
Nice.
I live in New York City, live in Brooklyn. I have what I would call NYC feels.
Yeah, so I know what they feel like.
I try to be realistic about what I can practice. And one thing I've tried to go into tournaments with is like, I can't expect to win the Met Am qualifier, right? Like for me to say like, I'm gonna shoot 4 under is like, that's not realistic. But I don't wanna put myself at a disadvantage if there's things I could do to, like, I wanna put myself in the position to shoot the best round I could.
Absolutely. When you step into like stroke play tournament realm, you have to have the humility to understand it's a completely different test of golf. Like, I think the mistake most players make is it looks similar on the surface, but as you've experienced when you're in the moment, it's way harder. And you have to go through this learning process, which you are right now, of saying like, yeah, my handicap's getting down in my normal rounds. Now, can I go through that same process in tournaments? And it is a separate process.
Video is presented by Serve Pro. I think that's fitting. We're gonna talk about disaster recovery.
Clean up the junk.
Yes, we're gonna try to make some mainly big numbers like they never even happened.
You know, we'll talk about what's reasonable to expect from yourself in a competitive setting with, you know, yeah, you have some challenges because you're not next to a golf course. Like, you probably don't play as much as you'd hope to living in New York City. A lot of these earlier rounds, you know, as you get into competitive golf, are learning experiences. So yeah, you're not going out there expecting to win, but I'd want you to set measurable goals that are within your control and hold yourself accountable to those, because that's how you're going to grow.
I want to shout out Spyring golf course, newest course on Long Island. We're out in your neck of the woods.
Yes.
A brand new course, Tyler Ray design. It's 9 holes. I'm excited to see this place.
Yeah, it's a fun, I played it when it opened up. It's got some, like, you know, width, some really big greens, so some strategic decisions we'll make today.
All right, well, let's fire it up here.
Yeah, let's go.
So we got, I think, a par 4 to start.
Yep.
The big right miss. Well, I've heard you talk a little bit about kind of shots exist in a vacuum.
Yeah.
Which I think would help me if I could convince myself of that mindset.
Yeah, I like to think of golf as a series of independent events.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you hit a tee shot that you're not happy with, there needs to be some type of perspective shift that happens really quickly, where it's like, how can I stop that gambler mindset and being like, oh, I made a mistake, I still need to make an incredible par or birdie here, versus, and sometimes you need to ask yourself a different question, like, well, what can I do to make a good bogey here at worst? And now, what's a good wedge shot here? Just thinking out loud, like, is you hitting this to 5 feet a good wedge shot? I would say that's a miraculous / exceptional
amazing
shot.
Well, especially, I mean, especially first hole, right? It's
yeah.
Like, yo, let's just...
honestly, again, independent events.
Yeah.
If this was the 18th hole of an important tournament, the 7th hole on a match with your friends.
I need to improve that thinking, because I think about sometimes I'm like, all right, early in the round, let's just like get off to a good start.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of situational golf. Like, the discipline and mentality I want to play with, and other people who, you know, are interested in shooting lower scores, is how can you keep it the same all the time so it's automatic and simple?
Yeah. A little thin, too much, way too much. Again, those NYC feels.
Yeah.
You're seeing them firsthand. We need to.
We're living real life.
We need to get the industrial fans out here. we got some water damage.
And that's the hard part about strategy is, you know, you make good decisions, you have good intentions, and there's plenty of shots that aren't going to work out like you'd hoped.
You're just not going to hit it good.
Yeah, and that's part of, like, what I would call the post-shot routine. Like, what happened there? Like, you thinned it a bit, didn't hit your number, and now we're going to have to deal with the next situation.
Okay.
All right, nicely done.
A little clanky. Misread. That's not it. Okay. That's a comfy 5 there. Second hole. Doesn't matter that we're coming off a bogey.
Nope.
Because this is...
We're talking about a series of independent decisions.
Yes.
Doesn't matter what happened on the last hole. Doesn't matter what happens 3 holes from now. We're talking about right now.
360, dogleg right. There's that left miss for you. Sheesh. There's room over there?
We'll see, yeah.
All right.
Next hole's
well,
over
provisional. There. Again, a 3. This is real. This is what it looks like in a tournament, man. Yeah. Closer. The 2-way miss is devastating.
Everyone's got a 2-way miss.
I'm fighting that a little
Everyone's got a 2-way miss one way or another.
Yeah. My normal 2-way miss is just like the dead, I call it the chloroform ball, just dead smother.
So this is why we need 4 caddies.
Well, that was also something I got to get better at too. That one I had the Fred McGriff follow through and took my eyes off of it. So, well, God, this one's in the garden spot here. We could still make, as I know you like to call it, a good bogey.
Yeah.
Can we make a good bogey?
Let's see if we can make a good bogey here. The most important thing, like, again, in the context of like, you want to get better at tournament golf, like that's what this is about, is that you are kind of open to what can happen out there, and you're not like creating these like self-fulfilling prophecies for yourself. Because I caught a lot of that where it's like, oh, if I did this on the opening holes, or I hit these shots with certain clubs, then I'm like thinking about it.
And I always find that like when things aren't going well, that my tendency would be to like not come back here and read it from this side. Yeah. Just be like, fuck it.
I think it's more important, again, when you're having these challenging moments, like it's easy to do the right things when you're playing well.
Yes.
But you form the better habit when you're struggling and you fight through it to keep saying like, no, I will keep doing the same thing over and over again. I'm not giving up.
Oh, a great read.
All right, good speed.
All right, there's my double. Third hole is this par 5 here. Good looking hole.
It's a nice par 5.
That's spiring showing out.
Yeah, I mean, this is your typical like aim right up the gut.
Yeah, I got
big dog.
Like 310 maybe to roll into that left bunker.
That left bunker I don't think is a problem today. No insult to your distance, but I think the course is quite soft.
Yeah.
You know, if you were going to like the Met-Am qualifier or something, I'd be like, can you do some homework beforehand on the tee shots? Like I'll have notes and I'm like, oh, I'm hitting 5-wood here to this target. I'm hitting driver here. Yeah. Like the decisions are already made. Yeah. And if the wind changes, then I'll adjust. But that's what, you know, better tournaments players do, is that they're making these decisions beforehand so that you don't get to the tee and you're like, oh, I just made a double there. Maybe I shouldn't, like, then all of a sudden.
Maybe I should take this bunker on and get it back. All right.
There he is.
Yeah, that's it. Love that.
What do you got here?
156.
That pin is dead middle. Maybe I like it just a touch right of the pin.
Okay.
Good strike. Okay. You nuked that.
I did. Little left to where we wanted it, which that was squared up. I mean, that was a really well struck shot. It's just like my path is, it is what it is, but I'm okay with that. I don't need a perfect swing. Yep. Like I feel like I can be a 0, like with my current kind of over the top move. You know what I mean?
Well, that's it. Like you're working with what you've got. You're not interested in going through some like major swing overhaul. So it's like,
I'm really not, because I know how much I can practice over the next, let's call it, year or two. And it's just like that is a recipe for disaster.
This is kind of a good iron shot in the sense that I think we picked a good target, a little right of the pin. We picked a good number, your pin high.
Couldn't ask for more of a go pin, huh?
Yeah.
Settle. No, that's not good.
All right, so this putt right here is a good example of like kind of what we were talking about beforehand. The worst thing you could do is just like, man, I suck. My speed control's horrible. Like now I'm gonna make bogey here.
And that's exactly like there, I think, you know, even if I wasn't consciously thinking it, I'm thinking, well, we just made double.
Yeah, exactly.
I got off to a slow start. Would love to shock the world here and
make the putt.
And get, you know, you get a little greedy.
And I think we're at our best is like, can I be okay with whatever happens here? Yeah. Can I be okay if this putt doesn't go in? But can I not be okay with that? Like, I didn't go through my process or have an intention, and I just kind of like went through the motions, like that I can't be okay with. Like I can be okay with missing the putt, but as long as I gave it my full attention.
Hey!
Nicely done.
Thank you.
You have OB on both sides in this hole. It's not terribly narrow, but obviously the penalty for missing is increasing quite a bit here. So I would say, like, I don't like driver here just because it's a little bit tighter, and the penalty for, you know, an open or closed club face is a bit more severe. For the most part, like, yes, I want you to step up to holes like thinking driver, but you also have to like value making stress-free pars and bogeys at worst too. So it's,
I need
hard
to get more joy and value out of that. I think
yes.
is a learning I'm taking away from this.
That's
for sure.
ultimately what better golf looks like for everyone, and that's definitely what good tournament golf looks like, is extreme boring efficiency where not much is going on.
Like number 4 would be a good example of that.
Yes, so you've got a bunker on the left at like 200, pretty short hole. So I like a club that's comfortable with you, kind of like on the right center of the fairway.
Okay. So I mean, 291 to that front right bunker. Like me in a tournament, I'm thinking like, part of me thinks like, well, I've hit driver 4 times. This is an opportunity to score here.
Yeah.
But you're saying there's big boy trouble on both sides.
Yeah, there's big boy trouble on both sides. And this is, again, the homework beforehand. Like, you're working in sims, and like if you can kind of figure out what your dispersion is with your driver, you can make better decisions here.
But what we've seen in the first 3 holes, maybe not.
3 holes isn't enough to make that decision.
I think another thing I got was on 4T, talking through like, I have these theories, or you know, you almost take a theory and turn it into like a rule for yourself. Of like,
a story you're telling yourself.
Well, I hit my 7-wood offline just as much as my driver. It's like, and you were like, well, why don't you go test that on a launch monitor? I want to hit driver here because I feel like I'm just as squirrely with 3-wood and 7-wood and driving iron. Like straight up, I honestly feel like driving iron, I'm already thinking about the bad stuff. I'm thinking just about the bad stuff with those clubs as I am with driver.
Sure.
So people think like, oh, what are you doing? That's such a bad decision. So honestly, it's like, well, you haven't really seen me hit the 3-wood.
Yeah, in a perfect world, like, I'd love to like live by the sword, die by the sword with driver.
Yeah.
But these holes present an opportunity for certain players to look at and being like, yeah, I've got OB here. And the penalty, again, it's not hitting it in the trees, it's re-teeing.
Then I think I'm gonna hit 7-wood.
Okay, let's go with the 7-wood.
That's gonna be about let's call it 240, 250.
All right, yeah, good swing.
Yep. Because some of that may just be me telling myself that I'm less accurate with these clubs.
So you got 80, yeah, I think, you know, I've played this hole before, like, again, theoretically speaking here, long is not good. More of a penalty.
This is a perfect example though for me, tournament round on my own. I would think, oh my God, green light. I need to be getting this inside 10 feet.
Yeah, I think that...
Is that fair? Should I think that way, or is that too aggressive?
I think for some people, if they think that way and they're like presetting themselves up for disappointment, then like, no, I don't like that.
Okay.
You know, everyone has, again, I'm thinking about like reviewing your rounds and your mindsets for each shot. So if you're staring at this shot and you're like, man, I'm licking my chops here. If I don't hit this to 5 or 10 feet, it's a missed opportunity. Like, that's not true.
Okay.
Like, if you hit it on the green to 25 feet, like, that's not a missed opportunity. You just still had a decent wedge shot. Because I would tell you from this distance, like, a tour player couldn't land it inside 10 feet on average.
Okay.
They just can't do it. It's just not reasonable.
All right. So I'd be lying if I said, like, if I didn't hit this inside 20, I'd be like, damn, you know? Because I was like,
we're already thinking about the results before you hit the shot. So, like,
welcome to the fun house, John.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, dude, I'm in the fun house too half the time. So I would look at this and saying, like, all right, this is a pretty, like, innocuous pin placement. It's dead center.
Yeah.
The pin's kind of dead center in terms of distance as well. So yeah, I'm fine with you as like a better player, like going at this one. And just saying like, all right, what's my intention on distance? Let's say like 77 yards.
Yeah.
And you're just going to aim there and then we'll see what happens.
Okay. Oh my God.
A little thin?
No, that was hit really well.
Hit
that's like, this would have me stewing until the next tee.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what the
it's
fuck
frustrating.
was that,
of course.
dude?
Like
I felt like that was a good swing. I mean, a little left of my target, but it's just like, some of that's practice.
You have to be honest with yourself, like not just in this moment, but in general. It's like, how much time have you been working on like 50 to 80 yard shots?
Not enough.
So like I grind over those all the time.
Which, do you feel like like in a simulator, do you feel like, sometimes I worry like you get in a sim on turf. I guess distance control doesn't really matter.
No,
you should just get in there and do it.
I think that's one of the best cases of like launch monitors in general, is like dialing in like awkward wedge distances, less than full swing, so that you step on the course and be like I know my 77 swing, like I'm going here, that's it.
Yeah. Okay.
And like, but again, I've put in, you have to be realistic, like.
But that, realistically, I can do that. I would say I've
have
been
you worked on it though?
No, I haven't.
Okay,
because I've always been going to the simulator with like, you know, 3-4 clubs on the subway. I usually take the T club, you know, the 3-wood driver, you know, 7-wood.
So in the grand scheme of things, like, you need to have a conversation with yourself, being like, yeah, I airmailed that because
I'm not practicing.
I don't deserve to have like tour level distance control in those shots.
Yes.
And we move on and we say like, where are you now? And we have to make a good decision on the next one.
Okay. We hit that, you know, wedge I got really upset about when we airmailed it, but I jumped to conclusions. I actually didn't hit as bad of a wedge as I thought.
No.
But I'm already kind of, you know, steaming about it. But then we kind of righted the ship of like, all right, let's accept that like 5 is now a good score from where I put myself.
Yep.
But then I ended up making par. All right.
Nicely done.
Put me in a great headspace going into the next hole.
This scenario worked out, and another scenario that could have been how
But I was
went.
almost like, I think in a good way, I don't want to get ahead of myself and be like, we're going to make 5.
Yeah,
we didn't make 5, but I was like, I was comfortable with like.
What was the right target?
Yeah, hey,
intention.
listen, you know, you put yourself in a position where 5 would be a good score here.
Yeah.
And just accept it.
Yep.
You know.
Ted Scott said something that was so cool at the US Open. I think it kind of got a lot of play. He went to Scheffler, and you know, Pinehurst too has those like diabolical green complexes. And Scotty's obviously one of the best wedge players in the world, green side, amongst his many talents. And he goes to him, he's like, let's make the putt the exceptional shot on this hole. Yeah. Meaning like, I want you to hit this to 20 feet. Yeah. And he actually made the putt, which is kind of like irrelevant, but he was kind of, Ted's a really good coach. Yeah. So in a way he was telling him like,
don't be the hero now.
Yeah, I can't have you be a hero now, because if you try and be a hero, like what could happen could almost end your tournament.
Yeah. All right, I got 185.
Okay. I kind of like that number in the sense that like, I don't want you to blast through it, obviously.
We don't want to be over. Yeah.
But we don't want to be over here. You got plenty of green to work with, so.
6 iron then?
Yeah, hit the 6, just right of the pin.
A little thin, but right at it. Get back there. Yeah.
Nice shot.
Okay. That's a good one.
So yeah.
Cut through the wind.
Yeah, cut through the wind, a little pull from our target. We'll call this a happy accident here.
Yeah, this is the Bob Ross ball.
Yeah, so we were aimed a little bit right of the pin, you pulled it a touch, hit the number pretty well. Now we have a separate ball, it's like birdie putts, par putts. Like same putt, could be for a 4, could be for an 8. Give me good intentions.
Yeah, and this is what I got to get better at, of like, don't put too much pressure on this one.
It's the same exact
same
putt.
thing.
It could have been for a 5.
Yeah.
Give me the same exact intentions and live with the result. All right. Great 2.
Thank you. 2s are always fun to have on the card.
We like those.
Yeah, that's, the industrial fans did their job. You know, just, my apartment's just been humming those for the last 48 hours, but the hardwood is, they say there's no mold in there, so that's good stuff.
But yeah, that's fun, right?
Yes.
Like you just went to like a longish par 3 into the wind, made a good decision, shot worked out, made the putt, and like that's exciting and fun. Like great. Like that's why we're playing this game, for moments like those. Like I don't expect them, I don't try to manufacture them, but when they happen, it's like, yeah, that was awesome.
Embrace
that was fun.
Yeah.
Like that's great.
Now, and this again is going back to the disassociation, but the post birdie fuck up, right? Do you put?
Well, again, are you?
Why? Well, I'm just being honest with you.
Why,
like,
yeah, of course.
My feelings sometimes coming off these is like, maybe I have a tendency to be like, okay, let's go on a run now.
Yeah, and
that's maybe not the right attitude.
Exactly.
One other theme that stuck out today for me was I take pride in like building around.
Yep.
And like that's good. And like the idea of like middle of this round, got into a good rhythm.
Yep.
But then you set yourself up a little bit for when you do pump on OB, then you allow the rhythm to fall completely apart.
Independent events, new hole.
We celebrated.
That was great.
Yes.
That was great.
We admired Bob Ross's painting.
We'll think about that after the round even more, but now we're back to business. There's no reason why I can't hit a good shot here, or there's no reason why I should put pressure on myself to make 3 more birdies. I'm gonna put pressure on myself to just, let's talk through this and make a good decision. Short par 4 here. I think this is a very cool hole. You've got that big bunker on the left, short of the green.
Yeah, it's 275 I'm picking up.
So that to me, like I'd look at that bunker and being like, that would be a pretty awkward second shot to be in there. And we've got a ton of wind in our face. So I would say like, this is one where it's like, I'm gonna take the easy way out here because I'm not confident that driver's gonna clear that bunker on the left, and you have a very tight window to the right to thread it through with the OB. Okay. So I like a shot that guarantees that you cannot reach that bunker. Okay. God, it's so hard to hit like 5-iron off this tee though. No, it's not. No, it's not. You can hit your 5-iron.
You seen the name?
Yeah,
it's tough.
Man. I know, but we're just trying to make a good decision here.
Yeah, we're trying to win tournaments.
People can destroy me in the comments.
Fair enough. Okay. Little trappy. Come on, find some fairway. Okay.
All right, just in the rough.
Yeah, that's a hard one also to not get frustrated with, which I think reinforces my bad decisions to press of like, well, you know, I just hit 5-iron in the rough.
Yeah.
Like that wasn't a badness.
Yeah, you pulled it a little bit. Again, you still have like a relatively straightforward shot to the green. You didn't go OB, you didn't go in that mess, you didn't go into that horrible bunker, so.
You know, you were like, yeah, take what you can from the rhythm, but some of that just comes from decision making.
Of course.
Like hitting 5-iron off of, you know, 5T allowed me to stay in a rhythm instead of trying to hit a, you know, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 driver.
Yep.
Which would, hey, listen, that would have led to birdie, but you also just brought in another triple.
All right, so again, like evaluating the shots on this hole, like your first instinct on the 5-iron was, oh man, I pulled it and we walked up to it. It really wasn't that bad. And like we hit a pretty straightforward wedge shot from 80 yards, left the face open a little bit, but you're on the green.
Yeah, but a decent distance.
Yeah, so yeah, we're like,
we didn't have
absorbing this feedback, like
we didn't have to hit anything heroic.
Yeah, and I think that the whole kind of pushed you into that because we come up here and like the OB is right there.
Because I haven't, you know, you have a tendency to be like, oh, it's a short 4. You got to, again, don't miss an opportunity to score.
Yeah, well, you're giving yourself an opportunity still.
Oh, hit it.
All right. All right,
okay.
Go for it.
I mean, that was a good indicator of like, something that's becoming apparent to me is I need to work on the disassociation stuff. Because that first putt was, honestly, I was thinking like, don't blow it by.
Yeah.
It's like, well, this is a totally different putt. It's uphill. Like,
yeah.
You know, I'm letting scar tissue dictate a little bit.
Like our whole golf life is like accumulated scar tissue.
100%.
And I'm just asking you to do this like, if you could do this 20 or 30% less than you normally do,
it's going to make a difference.
That could be worth like 1 or 2 strokes in a tournament. That's a big deal. Like the line at the level like you're looking to get to, it's very razor thin. So it's not like this all or nothing thing where I'm asking you 100%. To like be 100% zen and focused on every shot. I'm just asking you to do it a little bit more.
Yeah. 130.
So on a hole like this, we're looking at this massive green. It's a shortish par 3, and you're a good ball striker. So I'm okay with you adjusting closer to the pin because it's not in like any crazy tuck scenario. If it was in the front left, you know, then we're like, we got all those bunkers over there. If it's back right, it becomes a different scenario.
Oh, it's getting eaten by the wind. Down the slope.
Down the slope, okay.
But, I mean, good, I think good process there overall.
Yeah.
That's a bad read.
Yeah, good speed.
But good speed.
Well, it's really not that bad. You had a, let's call that like a 30-ish foot putt. You've hit it to 2.5, 3 feet.
Better expectations.
High. Well, let's just say that's a totally acceptable result.
Ooh,
Yeah, good 3.
That was a slick one.
Yep, stress-free par.
All right, feels like, yeah. Honestly, that decision to hit 5-iron there, like, adds a lot to this. Like, now I feel like I'm in a rhythm. Yeah, where you're kind of building some momentum.
Yeah.
But again, it goes back to your point about like, well, like that'd be the good part about like building around. Whereas you're kind of saying like, well, the more you can kind of just play shots in a vacuum can also help you with,
yeah, you're trying to get the best of both worlds where you're like, again, internalizing like the good results you're feeling good about. Had a couple of stress-free pars, a nice up and down, nice birdie. You're like, but also like not falling victim to like, okay, now my next 6 holes have to be like this because of what's just occurred.
Yes.
So that's, again,
this is
the
a
balance,
whole new,
saying, like,
whole new challenge.
We have another hole here. I think this might be one of the coolest holes on the golf course. So you can see over there, like you're running out of fairway into a, might we call that a ditch?
Yeah, maybe an East Coast barranca.
Yeah, I don't know what we would call this.
Being generous.
Yeah, I don't know what we would call this from a architectural perspective.
I guess if I'm calling that a barranca, I'm calling these houses chalets.
So we need to know what club you can hit to not go in that where it narrows up there.
Okay.
And it's about 185-ish.
Well, do I have room right?
You do.
Because I'm thinking
there's trees and rough over there.
It's about 300.
If you want a rip driver, I'm all for it, but it does tighten up a bit there. And then you've got essentially, that's OB to the left.
Oh, okay. Well, that's,
I mean, you're dead in there.
Okay.
So again.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna rip driver because I want to show you what, if you weren't here, I would hit driver here, because my thought process would be, I hit a cut, I hit a fade. If I execute my, like, I mean, and you can push back on me on this, but like, if I plan for a good shot, that should not matter. I want you to, like, and this goes for anyone, like what I suggest, being more disciplined, is not 100% end all be all. Yeah. Like, I also want you to have fun with it, and you look at certain holes, be like, yeah, I'm just gonna hit driver. If that was on the other side of the fairway, I'd feel a lot differently about hitting driver. Yeah, so then you just hit driver and have fun with this. Okay. We'll see what happens. And I put it right in there. Damn. So now I'm hitting 3. Yep. My thought process here would be, well, I might as well hit driver because we got a score. Do you disagree with that? Like, because now it's, well, you know. Yeah, you know, again, like, I look at it from like the analytical perspective. It's like, what can I do to not make the big mistake here? And you pretty much guarantee you can't make the big mistake on this hole by taking less. And again, that's the balance of like, I love hitting driver wherever I can. Yeah. And sometimes it doesn't, like, you could have hit that to the right of the green perfectly and been putting for eagle. Yeah. So in this situation, you pulled it left. So yeah, you want to rip driver again and have fun with it? Go for it, man. I'm okay with that. Well, but again, I'm trying to be like realistic about like what I would do if you weren't here. Okay. Like, so you get a sense of how we can talk about it afterwards. Yeah. Just make the decision now, and we could talk about it afterwards. It's like, all right, I'm hitting 3. Come on, turn. God damn it. Welcome to the fun house. So these are this moment right now. Yes. Is like the hardest moment. It's so hard. Yes. And I know. It's like I'm totally real, and I'm just stuck in the internal monologue of like, well, I mean, now you're so deep in it, you might as well. Yeah. Then it becomes like the gambler mentality, where it's like, do I keep doubling down over and over and over again? All right, let's get one out there. God. All right, that's safe though. And honestly, like the 8 I had is like, that hasn't happened in a tournament yet, but like we were talking about, it's going to. Yes. But I'm almost glad that I made that decision with driver. Reminds me of when I was doing a fitting, and the fitter was like, people worry about when they come get fit, like they're like, I'm not hitting it good. He's like, that's a good thing. Yeah. Like let's see it. Some eye-opening stuff on just like, do you have the discipline to take in the information? Yep. And hit 6-iron off this tee? Like, you're allowed to do that. Like, I did a good job of it on number 5. Yep. Did a bad job of it on number 8. Decent pace. So again, these are, when you talk about, again, we're playing a little like 9-hole
nothing today, let's say, but this is a perfect representation of, if you want to play stroke play tournament golf, like you need to be prepared for this scenario
this
where
putt right here,
it just becomes like the loss aversion just like goes out the window, and you're just like, your mind is going so fast, you're so angry at yourself. And this is even for like the regular club golfer, like you can throw away shots more easily than you can gain them with birdies and pars.
Yes.
And these are the moments where it's just like quick decisions, nothing, and then like all of a sudden 3 strokes go out the window. So I challenged you earlier. I asked you, I'm like, can you get into a state where you stand over this putt and have the same intention that you did over that short birdie putt on the other hole, or that 8-footer for par?
Yeah.
And I'm not asking you to, like, you'll never fully do that. Like, of course you're gonna have some like,
but the more you can.
Yeah, the more you're just like not shocked by it and understanding like it's part of the game. Like, we can't put an X on the scorecard.
Yeah.
It's happened to me multiple times this year, and I'm the one giving you the advice where like my head's spinning and I have to just sit down and saying like, that happened.
Yeah. That's a good 8.
Good putt.
Instead of a mediocre 9.
Golf is hard.
It is, but
Golf is hard.
that is a nice feeling though. Even that little victory of like, I mean, it sounds stupid, but like 8's better than 9.
I think that's a great way to.
Let's go see what we shoot with an 8.
Yeah, like that's.
Because
I almost have to create a separate challenge for myself.
Yes.
Like I told you earlier this year, I made a couple of triples earlier in rounds, and I happened to play great after them simply because I asked myself the question, I'm like, I'm going to regret phoning it in here for the rest of the day. Like if I go out off of the 18th green and played the next 12 holes like a jerk and not paying attention to anything, like I can't live with that. So I'm gonna try and do the harder thing and take a deep swallow here and just see what happens. I might not be able to save the round.
Yeah.
But at least I didn't.
It's gonna feel a lot better.
It's gonna feel a lot better that I didn't give up on it.
This is my cool runnings moment.
Yeah.
Like, you give me the bobsled, we're putting it on my shoulders. We're gonna finish with respect.
Yeah.
And those people clapping down the fairway.
Yeah.
Look at this guy, he's carrying his bobsled.
Yeah, let's go.
What a ledge. We were walking by on 8.
Yes.
And we saw that, picked up a little course beta.
Yeah.
That we have room right and we don't want to be left here.
For someone like you see that right bunker over there. Like, I'm fine with you being inside of that.
Yeah.
But we know that we saw it beforehand. We kind of took some notes walking by, like it's wide open over there.
Yeah.
So the golf course is like kind of giving you a little bit of an out over there. So it doesn't mean like I want you to blast it right. It's just saying like, we think a good target. The target is over there.
Yeah.
That's the target because we've taken a look at what's around it and then we go.
Okay. Oh, but that was a good target for that reason. Man, I am so over the top. Didn't hear anything.
Yeah, but you gave yourself room.
I gave myself the room for that.
Hold that shot.
All right, 122.
22 uphill. Let's take a look at, again, another big green here.
Well struck. Maybe a little deep.
We'll see.
That's a big pelt there. Thank you for getting on camera, Kev.
Good iron shot in there.
Uphill putt.
Uphill putt. Oh, good try.
Yeah, that was the best roll of the day.
Good speed. All right, good finish.
Yeah, bounce back there. John, thank you. Honestly, I learned like a lot to chew on. All right, so we're sitting here post round. What does a normal like post mortem on a competitive round look like for you?
Yeah, I think it's a good habit for everyone, whether you're playing competitively or not, to not let information disappear. Like all the feedback we gather on the golf course is gold for practice sessions, decision making, like our mental game. So I try and take like 5 or 10 minutes and just kind of go through every shot as best as I can. And I'm looking to like what stuck out like a sore thumb. Like, was I very tentative in my decision making? Was I playing scared that day? I'm looking for like my fun level. Like, did I enjoy myself or was I too hard on myself?
Yeah.
So I'm looking at all these different areas, expectation management we had a kind of a blow up hole today. Like,
yeah,
how did I react from that? Did I just give up and like phone it in, or did I just kind of dig in and make the best of the situation that I could? And I would take pride in that.
Yes.
Like, I can live with making a triple or a quad and not giving up, being like, you know what, I got through that, and that's gonna help me down the road. This is not a typical golf course you would see on the MGA circuit. There's some different stuff going on here in terms of like the hole design and the length of them. And 9 holes isn't enough to like glean anything massive, but you know, I can see you've got a ton of speed.
Yeah.
You hit your irons pretty well. Got good speed control on the green. So like, yeah, you've got a lot of upside. It's just a matter of like gaining the experience and feeling comfortable in these scenarios and making the necessary adjustments. And more importantly, like when we have these unfortunate blow up holes, can we ask the right questions afterwards and deal with them? Yeah,
looking at like the whole golf competitive career of like, this is a stepping stone to like, that's part of it.
That's the hardest thing to do, is not let these short-term like situational stuff in golf cloud your judgment.
Yeah.
And think and create these like negative storylines that don't really exist, and thinking in a broader picture, being like, this is kind of like a personal development journey for me. This is going to be fun, and I'm trying to figure out these puzzle pieces, and one round isn't enough to give you information in one way or another. Like, I'm looking for patterns over the long run. And I think that's all within your rounds if you're willing to go back and look for it.
Yeah. So taking this round, what stuck out to me was I did pull the driver, just like setup stuff. Like, I know I have work to do there. Also, just distance control with my wedges.
Yep.
Like, and hearing you say that, like, actually a simulator is a great place to work on that. I almost feel stupid for thinking it wasn't. And like, these are simple things that I could go into, you know, over the next 2 weeks, go work on 2-3 times and make an impact. Jon, thank you again.
Thank you.
Really appreciate
it. Was great meeting
you coming out. And also thank you to Spy Ring.
Yeah, great golf course.
Newest course on
great golf course.
Long Island. A nice change up for the public golf scene.
For sure.
And of course, thank you to Serve Pro. Appreciate their support. Thank you for watching.